Dales here with your next art lesson. Since our last project was about an Indian god named Ganesha, I thought it would be fun to look at one of the most famous buildings in India. You may have seen pictures of it before. It is called the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal was built by a ruler for his wife who died during childbirth. They were very much in love, and when she died, he dedicated or built this building for her. The Taj Mahal is actually a tomb for Queen Mumtaz, and she is buried there. So in addition to being beautiful, this building is a symbol of love. Construction on the Taj Mahal began in 1632. That's almost 400 years ago. So the building is almost 400 years old, and it took over 20 years to complete. There were over 22,000 different artists and craftsmen and carpenters that worked on the construction of the Taj Mahal. And if it was built today, it's estimated that it would take $1 billion to make the Taj Mahal. It's made of white marble, and it has over 28 different kinds of gemstones embedded in it. It looks like it's all white from a distance, but when you get up close to it, you can see that there are a lot of little tiles and stones inlaid onto the surface. That means little sections have been cut out where the little tiles and stones were put in. That's what inlay means. And there are also lots of carvings on the marble that are actually relief sculptures, which means that it's not the kind of sculpture that you can walk all the way around. That would be a 3D sculpture. A relief sculpture is when something projects out from a back surface. There were also elephants used to bring materials to different places on the construction sites because elephants are so strong. The Taj Mahal employs or has lots of traditional Indian architecture elements. Remember, architecture is the design of buildings. So the Taj Mahal has a lot of elements that we see from architecture from lots of different places. But Indian architecture was influenced by Muslim invaders that came and took over and ruled India. And in Muslim tradition, or in Islamic tradition, there's no people or animals represented in the art. So you see a lot of patterns and handwriting or calligraphy and things like flowers and leaves. You rarely see, if ever, any pictures of people or animals. From this view of the Taj Mahal, you can see how symmetrical the building is. It's the same on both sides if you folded it in half like a butterfly. And you can also see the 4 minarets or tall towers that surround the Taj Mahal. One of the things that helps you see the symmetry is that there are arches. There's one big arch in the middle and then 4 smaller arches on either side of that. Some of the arch styles are simple pointed arches, but some of them are called multifoil arches. And above this multifoil arch, you can also see a dome. There's one large central dome on top of the Taj Mahal, and then there are 4 smaller domes all around it. Every year, millions of people go to visit the Taj Mahal, and it's on my bucket list. I would love to go to India and see the Taj Mahal in person. It is on a river. It's right next to a river, and because it's on a riverbed, the ground underneath where the Taj Mahal is really soggy, and it's actually sinking. So some engineers and scientists believe that the Taj Mahal is not going to be around in a couple hundred years. So our task today is we are going to draw the Taj Mahal in pencil, and then next week we are going to add some details to our drawing, and we're going to learn to do a fade or a sunset watercolor background behind the Taj Mahal, and that's going to really make our white building stand out. All right, let's get to work. You're going to find the middle of a horizontal 12 by 18 piece of paper, and then you're going to go 2 or 3 inches below that. You're going to draw a rectangle about the size of your hand in resting on the guideline that you drew. And then you're going to draw 2 more smaller rectangles next to that rectangle and divide those in half. This is going to be the middle of your Taj Mahal. Now, to draw the arches, you can draw an A and draw curved legs, or you can draw an end and make the top of it come to a point. So now I'm going to draw my arches. There's one big doorway or vaulted archway where the main door is, and then there's 8 more, 4 in each of those other rectangles. Above that central biggest rectangle of the building, you want to draw a dome. And a dome kind of looks like an onion or part of a circle. And on top of that dome, you're going to put a spire. Now, there's 2 smaller domes on either side of this big dome, and they have those fancy arches that we talked about. You don't have to draw them yet, just draw a place for them. If you are counting, there are 3 of those little fancy multi-foil arches under each of the smaller domes that you can see. Now I'm going to draw my minarets or my towers, and there are 4 of them. The ones closest to the building are going to be smaller, and the ones closest to me, closest to the viewer or you, they're going to be bigger. This is called drawing in perspective. So things in the distance get smaller, and we're going to show that. I'm going to draw, I don't know if that's a window or a door above that doorway, but I'm going to draw those 2 arches in that big doorway that I drew. And then I'm going to draw these little spires on top of each of my domes. The minarets have different parts, and they are separated by these like horizontal, rectangular kind of fancy shapes. And then there are little towers in each of those that have arches in each of the minarets, or in each of these minaret towers, there are little arches or openings. These are real towers. They have stairways in them. And the reason they're here is for people would go up in these towers and call people when it was time to pray. So there's stairwells and I guess places to stand up inside each of these little towers. So there are 4 towers, and they have these little vaulted rooms or porches on the top. Now, this is where I'm going to put the reflecting pool, and I want these lines to be at an angle as they come down towards the bottom of my paper, and that's going to be one more way that I'm going to show depth or distance in my picture. So in the reflecting pool, I want to draw part of the Taj Mahal that would be seen. It just depends how deep how much space you have in your reflecting pool, what you draw. Those lines on either side of my reflecting pool, that's where my plants or my trees are going to go. It's like a sidewalk and then a grassy area. So I'm probably going to fit in this main section and part of this main dome, and then maybe part of the 2 smaller domes next to it. So there'll be a little bit of reflection in there. Once you get your building drawn in pencil, if you have time and you want to outline it in Sharpie or black crayon, you can. So here I am doing those fancy multi-foil arches in my Sharpie. They just have like these little loopy flowery things, and you can do the whole arch like that or just a little section at the top. Anyway, if you want to outline or go over your lines in Sharpie or in black crayon, you can, but you do not have to. Now, you want your shrubs or your trees to be symmetrical, just like everything else in your building. And so you want them to be across from each other. You want to have the smaller trees in the background closest to the building. And then you want them to be spaced a little bit farther apart, the closer they get to the bottom of the paper. And you want them to get bigger. I made all my shrubs about the same height. So if you want to, it doesn't matter which one you start with, but they all end where the bottom of the Taj Mahal is, and they just get bigger and bigger as they get towards the viewer. So this is another way that you give the illusion of depth or perspective in your picture. By the way, you do not have to do a building exactly like the Taj Mahal. If you want to do a building like your own temple or tomb that is inspired by the Taj Mahal, but you want yours to look a little bit different, that's totally fine. I just think that Taj Mahal is one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. So I wanted to draw the Taj Mahal and the reflecting pool. And so that's why I was showing you how to do this. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to leave you with my drawing so you won't forget any of the parts. And I will see you next class, and we'll add color.